Hi and welcome to my 2018 World of Tanks update video. I believe since my last garage video I've added a couple of tanks, and I'm pretty certain now that this will be my final lineup, although every time I say that I end up getting another tank here or there. And I just thought while the 4th of July backgrounds and theme was sort of up, I'd do a garage update. I've been playing World of Tanks for quite a while now. Really enjoy it. I sort of take a break every now and then and get back into it. I did play on PC originally, but I now play on console exclusively. German tanks have always been an interest of mine and my favourites in the game, so I do have a large collection of German tanks, but I also have American, Russian and British tanks. For a little while I also had a couple of the I think either the Opera Awards or the free tanks they gave away, so I did have a Japanese tank and I believe a Czechoslovakian possibly, but I have sold those to make room for other tanks. Anyway, I'll go through my list of tanks, but before I do, I just wanted to mention, obviously on the thumbnail there I was, that isn't actually a World of Tanks garage, that's literally a tank garage. There's a tank museum down here in Australia that's really great, and I'll actually put a link in the description. I do have a video of myself walking through that tank museum. It's really worth checking out if you're here in Australia. It's down here in Victoria, and yeah, like I said, I'll put a link in the description. You can check that out as well. Really great place. Okay, so I'll start off with my American tanks. At the moment you'll see some have no crew. That's just because I've got the crew, for example, training in a premium tank. So I do have my trusty M4, which is a awesome little tank, a lot of fun. Really recommend it as a fun tier 5 tank, and at first I wasn't massively impressed with it, but I'm glad I've hung on to it because it is a lot of fun. Currently training the crew up in the Ripper. Essentially the same tank as an M4, but yeah, a few little changes, but most of all the cosmetic changes why I like that one. I think I won that in an op. And yeah, training the M4 crew in it at the moment. I've come to enjoy this tank as well. Next up are a couple of American tank destroyers that I really enjoy. Being a German tank destroyer user, it's great to be able to hop in a tank now and then, a tank destroyer with a turret. So I really enjoy the tier 5 and tier 6 American tank destroyers, the first one being the Wolverine, which looks awesome in this camo, I reckon. And then of course the Hellcat. Both really cool tanks. The Hellcat's gun is fantastic. I really enjoy playing both of those. I highly recommend having a bit of fun in them. Next up are my two British tanks. First one being the Matilda, which is, I have to say, I've used quite a few British tanks. Didn't really enjoy any of them at all. But the Matilda is a bit of fun. The gun on it's really cool. Quite a fun tank to use, and I don't have many tier 4 tanks, so it was good just to add a tier 4 into the garage. And I have the AC4 training up the Matilda crew at the moment. The AC4 has a great gun on it. Quite a fun tank to use. It is tier 6, so it does come up against some pretty big tanks, but yeah, really cool tank. And of course we in Australia here know this tank quite well. Now I'll start my German list of tanks, which I use the most and really really love and enjoy. I've got quite a variety. I think I've got one from every tier except tier 10. I've got all the classes as well. Many of them are fairly upgraded and have the crews trained up. Currently training my Lick Tractor, which is the tier 1, which I kept right from the beginning, my very first tank. Currently training up that crew. But yeah, that's a cool little tank at tier 1. My Panzer II I purchased recently just for to go back and have a bit of fun at tier 2. Currently training the crew up in that as well. But that's a fun little tank with a cool gun on it. At tier 3 I've got the Panzer IV H, which is a lot of fun at tier 3. Pretty powerful tank actually, for a light tank. Highly recommend having a bit of fun in that. Got my premium T15, which I use quite a bit for training up these lower tiers. Currently training up the tier 1 Lick Tractor crew. I think one more crew skill and I'll probably chuck the crew back in, have a bit of fun on tier 1. This tank's really fast and manoeuvrable, quick firing gun. No armour as you'd expect, but a lot of fun and yeah, great for training up crews. My tier 5 Leopard, which I've really hung on to just because I like tier 5, but actually really been enjoying it lately. Cool looking little tank. Good gun, slow firing, slow reload, but yeah, quick firing, and a lot of fun to play. I'm looking forward to training up its crew soon, a bit more hardcore, and yeah, having a lot more fun with that. I believe it's my one tier 4 German tank, which is my Panzer III J. Again, very similar to Panzer III at the tier below, but yeah, quite a heavy sort of tank for a medium, and great gun on it. Fun tank, really fun tank, and looks pretty cool as well, I reckon. Okay, now tier 5, getting up to the Panzer III/4. One of the tanks I used to play a lot and really enjoyed. Yeah, great tank, good all-round tank. But then I got this a long time ago and pretty much play this excessively. It's the Panzer V/4. I had this on sale a long time ago, and I'm so glad I picked it up. It's my favourite tank, great for training crews. It's trained up a lot of my German crews. Great tank to use. Just recently had a 10 kill game on it. I'll also put that link to that game in the description. I did a video of it and then also a video with commentary if you're interested in that. But yeah, definitely my favourite tank to use. If I had to pick one in the garage for some fun, this would be it. Awesome tank. Probably one of my second most used tanks is the Panzer IV H, which I'd never really understood until I got it and upgraded it, and then absolutely fell in love with it. So I use this a lot. Great fun. Gun on it is just so good. An awesome looking tank as well. Yeah, I think definitely it's one of the iconic German tanks, along with perhaps the Tiger and Stuck 3 or something like that. But such a great tank, good fun to use. Then I have my two Panthers, my Panther I, Panther II. I guess, yeah, again another iconic tank. I think the Panther II is probably the only one I'm actually grinding the last gun out on. Yeah, there it is there, so I'm not super far off. It's a little bit of an upgrade from the previous 88mm. Then I'll probably start using the two Panthers a little bit more. They are fun to use and nice bit of deflection on them and stuff. Then I start off my German sort of heavies, which was such a great grind. From this tank on at tier 5, the 3001, is just so awesome, and it's really why I started off in the German tech tree to work my way up to the Tigers, and the Tiger grind from here is just unbelievable. All these sort of mini Tigers are so great. The 3001 at tier 5 is so much fun, and then the 3601 at the next tier is just a devastator. Great tank. Then I move up to my Tigers. Of course, the Tiger 1, which is probably one of the more iconic German tanks. Really enjoyed this tank. Set out to get this early on, and really glad I did. Great fun to use. Very well balanced, I think, for its tier. Wouldn't say it's fantastic at any one thing, but you can sort of do a bit of everything in it. Good sniper, and I tend to use my Tiger 1 as a bit more sort of aggressive play, and then my Tiger P as more of a sniping tank. They're both very similar. That Tiger P's got a little bit more reinforced front armour, a little bit more sluggish, hence using it more as a sniper, and the Tiger 1's I use it as a bit more of a brawler. But both of those tanks I really enjoy. Recently picked up the 4503 in one of the giveaway ops. So I did want another premium tank, and this is actually quite an interesting tank to use. I'm using it to train up my Tiger II crew at the moment. Cool looking tank. I reckon it looks very futuristic compared to the other Panthers and Tigers, and it's a sort of a hybrid between I guess a Tiger and a Panther, sort of. Acts like a Tiger and sort of plays a bit like a Panther. It's a bit of a hard one to describe, but a cool tank to use. The gun on it's very nice, as with most sort of German tanks around these tiers. But yeah, as I said, I'm using it as a trainer at the moment. Hence the Tiger II having no crew, because they're in the 4503. But yeah, Tiger II is also a cool tank. Fun to use. Once I get up to about this tier onwards, I don't tend to play as much. I do prefer tier 5 or around there, but occasionally hop in these higher tier tanks for a bit of fun and something different. Then my highest tier tank, which is the E75, which follows on, of course, with the Tiger line. Yeah, big tank. Very fun, but yeah, like I said, I don't really enjoy the higher tier matches as much, but I had to add this one to the garage because it's just so tough looking. Then on to my tank destroyers. Of course, one of my favourite tanks, and one of the tanks I used to use a lot in the PC version of World of Tanks, which is the Stug 3G. Love this tank. Ground up to get this pretty early on, and yeah, I've used it quite a bit. Love the look of it, love the play of it. Just great fun to sit there and snipe away with big gun. Very enjoyable. Next I've got the two, I don't know what's commonly called the toasters, but they're yeah, a lot of fun to use, but very easy to be destroyed. Tier 5 and tier 6, but great guns. You can get yourself set up in a good sniper position. They're a lot of fun. Basically use those now and then just for a bit of fun. My Young Panther is pretty cool too. I haven't actually used it a lot, but I look forward to using it a little bit more in the future. I might get back into tank destroyers sometime soon, but yeah, I do enjoy the German tank destroyers. They're quite challenging, good guns. This one obviously has a good amount of sloped armour. They just look tough. My German artillery is great fun. I quite enjoy popping into these now and then. I really enjoyed the Gday, or I'm not 100% sure how you're supposed to pronounce it. Very, very cool at tier 5, but my most used one is the Pukapunyal. I really enjoy using this. I think that artillery at this tier is a lot of fun. You can get kill some quite large tanks in it. Don't come up against anything too crazy usually. And if you're lucky enough to play a tier 6 game, you can really wreak havoc on the enemy. And I also have the GW Panther, so the Pukapunyal sort of sits in between the three, like it does in the tiers really. The Gday's quite accurate, limited angle of fire. The GW Panther has a big angle of fire, not very accurate, and the Hummel is right in the middle of those two. So it's sort of the perfect artillery piece for me out of those three. So yeah, that's the one that I usually get into. But they do look really cool. And now onto the Russian tanks. Actually was never interested in getting Russian tanks because I'm not a big fan of them. But managed to pick this T28E up in one of the op challenges for free. So then decided to I might as well get a couple of Russian tanks to train up the crews. With the Honor T28. So of course had to pick up a T34, which is enjoyable to play. At the moment, training up its crew. Not a huge Russian tank fan, so don't get in them very much. But that's a fun little tank. And of course, the other iconic one is the KV-1. Get in this every now and then. If I had to choose out of all three, though, I think probably the Honor is actually the one that I enjoy playing. Luckily, being the premium tank. So yeah, a smaller group of tanks there. And as you can see, I have one vacant slot available, so there may be another tank added in the future. I'm not entirely sure, but at the moment I'm pretty happy with where I'm at. Like I said, I've bought this Panzer II recently to muck around with for a while. I've got a few crews training up. If I was going to say one tank that I really love, it's definitely this one. If it does come up on sale again and you're into German tanks, or even if you're not and just want a fun tank to use, I highly recommend this one. I've had so much fun in it. It's a great looking tank. Rams really well. I use it as a rammer quite a bit. The gun on it's really good too. Probably the only downside is that it's not very manoeuvrable. Besides that, fantastic tank. I think from memory I got it for perhaps around 2,000 gold, or perhaps a little bit less when it was on sale when it came up. I think it came up again once since then, and it was like over 3,000, so I got quite a good deal with that. So yeah, if you can ever get your hands on that, I highly recommend it. So yeah, I've hoped you've enjoyed my garage update. As I said, I'll put some links into the description for the Tank Museum and my recent 10 kill game with this tank. If anyone did want to know a bit more detail about any of the tanks, you can add a comment below and I'll get back to you. I've got a lot of other videos on my channel of most of these tanks in action in some degree. I've got a My Tank series which I go into a bit more depth about individual tanks, as well as a few other games and general videos on my channel. So anyway, I hope you've enjoyed it, and thanks for listening.